Recall! Yeah!
Ring, also known as Ringu, is a horror film from 1998 and, quite frankly, is my most favourite horror film of all time. I first heard about this movie when they were doing the remake, The Ring, and I remember reading somewhere something about, they were saying, look, if you want to see this movie, make sure you check out the original first because it is really something, and particularly the scene, which I was very curious about. So I went out and bought the DVD. I just thought, look, it sounds good, I'll check it out. Sat down one day, it was about midday or so, popped it in the DVD player, and I'm watching it in the middle of the day, and look, I thought to myself, yeah, look, it was a really good movie, not that scary, but I thought it was very good. It wasn't until later that night that, oh man, I was sitting there at my desk on the computer, and I just kept having to look over my shoulder. I had such a feeling of dread and just paranoia, and it lasted for like a week. This movie really affected me deeply. So this story revolves around a cursed videotape, and if you watch the bizarre series of imagery on it, 7 days later you will die because this weird freaky looking chick named Sadako is going to come and, well, who knows what really happens, but your heart will stop, you'll die, and you will end up looking like this. Or something thereabouts. So our three main characters are a couple who've split up and their son. So the woman, Asakawa, she's a reporter and she finds out about the story about this tape. So she does some investigating, which kind of leads her to finding the tape, and naturally she watches it. Her son watches it, her ex watches it, and, well, I can't really say too much else other than the movie becomes sort of a race against time as to figuring out how to stop this curse. And the solution is something that is really, really clever and actually is the point where you find out why the movie is called Ring. So, why do I love this movie so much? Oh man, how much time have you got? Okay, I'll try and keep this brief. So, the main thing I love about the movie is the atmosphere, is the mood. I mean, to make an effective horror movie, you need atmosphere. You need to create this level of tension and dread throughout the whole thing, and this movie has it like nothing I've ever seen before. It is almost like when you're watching this film, you just feel like there's this dark storm cloud hanging over you the whole time. It gets into you, into your bones, it just doesn't make you feel pleasant. I mean, I'm pretty sure the performances were all good. It's kind of hard to tell when people are speaking a foreign language because you're never 100% sure, like, if the line delivery is what it should be, but they were very effective for the movie. I really dug everybody, and everyone just had this sense of doom, like they were all gonna die, and that just added to the atmosphere. But let's face it, the other thing that we want in a horror movie, apart from atmosphere and stuff, is a good villain, and honestly, Sadako to me is the scariest villain I've ever seen in a horror movie. Hollywood have never been able to come up with anything as scary as this chick. And the reason why she's so scary is because you never hear her speak. I know, that's one place that the American remake got it wrong. She's just this malevolent demon in human form, and there was just something so scary about just the mere sight of her. Just seeing her, your time is up and you don't know how you're going to go. And that was another thing as well. It's never really explained how the people die. So, it's always that feeling of the unknown. Like, you don't know how you're going to die, but you just know that, goodbye world. So the look of the film and the production design and everything was great. Everything was kind of desaturated and just gloomy looking, and the whole element of this race against time was just perfect. I mean, when they kind of figure out, when they think they figure out what they've got to do to stop the curse, it just, you're kind of on the edge of your seat and you're just like, go, and it really, oh man, they nailed it. Then of course it gets to the end where there's some twists and stuff which were very, very clever, and the absolute ending itself itself is a mind blower. I mean, yeah, when it comes to the scene, which if you've seen this film or the remake, you know the one I'm talking about, involves a TV set. When that happens, man, it is shocking. It is one of the most incredible images I've ever seen in a horror film, and it'll stick with you forever, and was done so much more effectively than the American version. But I've got to stop comparing the two. I know. So look, honestly, I can't fault this movie. I am so in love with it. You know how once in a while a movie comes along that you genuinely, deeply love? Well, this is it. And quite frankly, if I could put a ring on its finger, we'd be married. And that was one of the weirdest things I've said today. I mean, this movie started a deep love affair with Asian horror movies. I mean, I've got about 40 or so in my collection, and I can't get enough of them. Particularly ones around that era. Like, yeah, they kind of went off the rails a little bit later on. Aside from that, I really recommend reading the book that it actually came from as well. There were some differences in it, but yeah, it was a really cool book. So I highly recommend that if you've seen the film and you're after something, you know, something a bit extra, definitely worth checking out. So that being said, I am going to give Ring a 10 out of 10. So guys, if you've seen Ring, I'd love to know what you thought of it. Did you love it as much as I did? Drop me some comments, either here or on Facebook. All the social media links are down in the description below. And pretty soon I will also have a review of The Ring, followed by a review of the new movie Rings. In the meantime, drop me some comments because I like to talk about movies and I would love to talk about movies with you. See you next time.
Click subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest movie reviews. Skynet will be taking over any day now, so what have you got to lose? Nyah.